try to win this T4 Nations Cup final.
They certainly will, and it is going to be a battle for the ages. But watch out for Khali Atkins starting in P7. That's not representative of his pace. Only starting down there due to that tragic DNF that he had when his chain came off. And on, I believe it was the last or second to last lap, he DNF'd from the lead of the race, having led the entirety of it. It was really a heartbreaking occasion for the young British Jamaican driver, and he is certainly going to be looking to make his way up the field. He has the potential to win. It's more of a question of can he scythe his way through the 6 carts that are starting in front of him. He's starting on the inside line as we see Fabienne Lanz there getting ready, sitting down into her cart, getting comfortable, and a quick fist bump there with, I believe that's Roshan Goodman, her teammate from South Africa, wishing each other the best of luck. Fabienne Lanz, of course, flying the flag not only for South Africa but also for women in motorsport, as we see the 3-minute board coming up, all the drivers getting into their carts. Fabienne, a very vocal supporter of getting more people into motorsports, minorities of all descriptions, and also making motorsport more accessible to the people who perhaps don't have as much money, which is a very noble cause in a country like South Africa, where there is a serious amount of people who don't have the money to go motor racing, but they do have the ambition. And I think that's what the T4s are appealing to, and that is what has drawn Fabienne here today. She was meant to be at the last World Cup, but unfortunately she couldn't compete. So this is her second entry into the Nations Cup, but her first actual Nations Cup in one way or another. As we can see there, the 397 of Ian Quinn there, getting ready to start. He's lining up in P6, just alongside Khali Atkins. He's going to be very conscious of that fact, I feel, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if Khali can get past him, as well as a few others into turn 1, starting on the advantageous inside. It is going to be very interesting to see what people can do from the inside and the outside. Watch out for Evan Stapleton as well. He's been doing very well with race starts so far, and the opening couple of laps, he has won one of his heats through a lucky collision for the front 2 when he was running in 3rd, inherited the lead and took home the victory. But it is going to be a fearsome couple of moments as we wait for the 1-minute board to appear, and all of the mechanics will soon leave the grid, say their final good luck to the drivers, excuse me, as there is the 1-minute board. Michael, who I was speaking to very recently, saying good luck to Khali Atkins. Khali Atkins, no response whatsoever. He is 100% in the zone. His visor is down. He's looking across to see when are we going to get racing.
So this is it, the moment that these T4 senior drivers have been waiting for in the Nations Cup weekend. And it will be a very tough situation for all of the contenders as they duel for the crown. And of course, every time there's a decent points finish for a particular nation, that will improve their chances of coming through for the Nations Cup. We've had wins for the Netherlands, the Czech Republic, and the United States so far this weekend. Now it's time to see if we get a 4th different nation on the top step of the podium, and we could well do, because around Tyler Mcintyre, who's hoping to make it 2 from 2 for the United States. We also have for South Africa, Fabienne Lanz and Roshan Goodman. For Ireland, Evan Stapleton. For Great Britain, Khali Atkins behind the fellow Americans Hunter Perry and Ian Quinn. And then for Mexico, Gianluca Werthmann. A lot of drivers with a chance to win, but they're all going to give us their very best in terms of action. So here we go through the grid. 14 laps of this circuit. Tyler Mcintyre and Fabienne Lanz from Evan Stapleton and Roshan Goodman. Hunter Perry and Ian Quinn from Khali Atkins and Gianluca Werthmann. Then Darragh Adriannssens and Jose Antonio Gomez. Calvin Pratt and Ben Lyder. Owen Ayrton Spears and Eddie Byrne from Rasheen Sweeney and Josh Back. Then Kirsten Adriannssens, Colm Manili, Alistair Tinker, Juris Calvelis, Raivo Dripe, Francisco Acevedo, Patrick Hayden, Rowan Conrady, Conor McPollin, Richard Kinlock, John Nuttall, Paula Estrada, Miguel Armando Parra, Rory O'Shea, Harry Gladkin, Alex Fleming, Gerardo Rosalia Freccia, Samuel Johnson, Alejandro Payan and Fabio Marangon.
And this is set to be an absolutely extraordinary affair with all of our T4 senior drivers, well, not all of them, crucially, in fact, drivers 1 to 36 in their rankings. The other drivers, unfortunately, not able to take the start, as we do only have limited positions on the grid as they go around for their second of 2 formation laps. Getting to know the track one last time before they do battle. Time to pick up on any little changes in the track and how it's driven. How is the kart performing around the different corners? How is the track performing? How are the tyres? How is the balance? How is the driver feeling? That's a very important aspect of any final, is how are the drivers feeling? What are they thinking about? Where are they looking? How are they breathing even? It can come down to the smallest things, and dare I say it, it probably will, because we are set to have an incredibly tight race as we see all of the drivers starting to form up, being told to slow down by the marshals. Slow down, you're going too fast. You need to keep it calm, keep it cool, and we will get underway for this T4 senior final, arguably the most hyped up final of them all, purely because a majority of the drivers are competing in this class. There is so much competition. It really is the creme de la creme. If it wasn't for the fact that the minis and juniors are limited by age, then I'm sure they would love to be racing in this class, purely because there is so much other talent out there.
Well, with time they'll get their opportunity, but for the moment they will have to sit on the sidelines and watch as Mcintyre, Lands, Stapleton, Goodman, Perry, Quinn, Atkins, Worthman, Adriannssens, Gomez et al. Go to battle in the T4 senior final of the Tillotson T4 Nations Cup. Let's race! Up to the first corner, it's a great start from Stapleton. Look at Stapleton trying to cut through past everybody up to the inside line. I think the Irishman may have got through to the lead. Evan Stapleton comes through and he's not quite managed to hold off his opponents. That is Fabienne Lands from second on the grid. Fabienne Lands has come through to take the lead, and there's problems in the chicane. Several karts going wide and going off. So big problems. That's Sweeney, Adriannssens. We've had Alexander Fleming have a problem. So too for Acevedo and Hayden. They've got going again, those two, but big problems all around. And I'm afraid there's 3 drivers that are not going any further. Fleming, Adriannssens and Sweeney by the look of it. And a very, very fed up Alex Fleming. His race is over and he walks away from his kart. So there are problems for Roisin Sweeney. She's out of the race now as well. And it looks to me as though so too is Kirsten Adriannssens, the Belgian. Oh, she's got going again. So Kirsten Adriannssens has managed to get moving. But out in front, crucially, it is South Africa that leads the way. And it is the 35-year-old Fabienne Lands that leads the race.
And that's so disappointing to see Roisin Sweeney there, the reigning Motorsport Ireland T4 champion, being taken out in the first lap, as we see Evan Stapleton being passed there by Roshan Goodman. It's the 2 South Africans out in front now, the 2 teammates as well. Evan Stapleton, part of Stapleton Motorsports, as is Roisin Sweeney. And look at this battle going on for position number 3.
Oh, Atkins has gone for 2 in 1.
Oh, that is absolutely beautiful, Jake. Atkins 2 in 1, like you say, it's like a meal deal up in here. Khali Atkins with a absolutely fantastic start. That looks to me like Miguel Parra potentially, and he seems to be out of the kart. Not sure what has happened to him, but as we go back to the action now, looking at the battle, Khali Atkins immediately up into P2. Fabienne Lands with a gap of just under a second. The question is, can she hold on to it?
To clarify, that was actually Alistair Tinker, so the British driver is out of the race now as well. So Tinker's gone, Sweeney's gone, Fleming's gone, everybody else still going, but Lands is your leader from Khali Atkins. Then it is Tyler Mcintyre from Quinn, Stapleton, Goodman and Worthman, and up to the inside line, Stapleton trying to get back on terms with Ian Quinn. What if Ian Quinn could go from the back of the grid in qualifying to the top step of the podium in this final? That would be an amazing charge through from Ian Quinn, but there's big pressure further up as Tyler Mcintyre is giving Khali Atkins no end of pressure as they both try and close up on the South African racer Fabienne Lands. She leads at the moment in front of Atkins and Mcintyre, then Quinn, Stapleton and Goodman, but this is going to get very tight for the lead of the race. Fabienne Lands so dearly wants her first win of the weekend to be in the Nations Cup final of the T4 Seniors, but it's going to be tight as Khali Atkins is going to give her no end of pressure. Onto the back straight they come. South Africa versus Great Britain. Fabienne Lanz leads the way, but she's got so much pressure from Khali Atkins. Atkins is going to work his magic to try and get back through on the inside line. Can he work past Fabienne Lanz? Not on this lap. Maybe going into turn 1, into lap number 4. He's going to get alongside, and surely Khali Atkins is going to commit to the move. He's going to take the lead. So Khali Atkins gets through on Fabienne Lanz and takes the lead of the T4 Senior Final.
Remember what I said about watch out for Khali Atkins. It's only a matter of when he's able to side through the 6 carts in front of him. He's been able to do it within a matter of laps, and Fabienne Lanz now falling down into 3rd place, being taken by Tyler Mcintyre on the exit of the 3-4 chicane. That is a very, very poor first half of the 3rd lap for Fabienne Lanz, the lady racer from South Africa. She said she would just take it as it comes in the final, see how things are going and adjust her strategy to suit. And so far, that has not worked out for her this lap. Ultimately, she is still in P3 and she has plenty of time to overtake Tyler Mcintyre. The big question is, Khali Atkins, can anybody catch him? It's not a matter of when he will be caught, it is a matter of if. He is just that quick. Our Tillotson T4 Esports champion, qualified to be here today through the Esports series, which he won by the tightest of margins overall. And as they come through turn number 1, it is the Esports champion who leads the way from Tyler Mcintyre and Fabienne Lanz, who are both closing up to him now. Look at that. Look at the gap that they have managed to close up. Khali Atkins seemingly starting to lose a bit of pace. Maybe the slipstream is just that powerful, because Khali Atkins closed up a 2nd gap to Fabienne Lanz within a lap and a half, but seemingly they have been able to do the same to him. And now it is going to be a question of, do they work together to combat the British Jamaican driver, or will they just go hammer and tong, all or nothing, and see who comes out on top? I have a funny feeling that if they choose the latter, then it is just going to play into the hands of Khali Atkins. But as they come down into the final chicane, it is still Atkins from Tyler Mcintyre, from Fabienne Lanz, and then Darragh Adriannssens comes in at P4, battling away with, that is Quinn and Stapleton in P5 and P6, but everyone seemingly just keeping it close, keeping it tidy, coming through the 1st sector. And there might be a few moves in P8, I think that is, position number 8. That looks like Hunter Perry getting involved with Hunter Perry and
I think that's Spears.
Owen Ayrton Spears with the very distinctive Senna helmet. And well, that is a battle that could emerge. There's a gaggle of about 5 cars as we look to the top of the track, and there is no change for positions at the moment, but we'll keep an eye on that battle. As
we've had a retirement. It's Haris Gladkin. Haris Gladkin has come off the road there, unfortunately, in the chicane. So Haris Gladkin, I'm afraid the Latvian, is going to be out of this race after 5 laps. That's very unfortunate indeed for Haris Gladkin, but that's game over as far as he's concerned. So these 3 continue to hold station. Khali Atkins, Tyler Mcintyre and Fabienne Lanz. That would be a very cool podium, I have to say, but will it stay in that order? That's the crucial one, as we have Adriannssens, Quinn, Stapleton, Worthman, and now Owen Ayrton Spears has managed to get through into 8th position. So working his way through to the front end of this queue. Owen Ayrton Spears, well, he was. Now he has dropped back again behind Calvin Pratt. So Calvin Pratt has managed to get through into 8th position. Then behind Spears, it is in 10th place. That is Hunter Perry. Then Josh Back, Ben Leider. Oh no, Leider and Goodman have both managed to get past Joshua Back. And then it's Eddie Byrne and Jose Antonio Gomez. So a lot of big talents in this one, but this is the first time really that they've all been on the same racetrack at the same time. So it's definitely incredibly telling as to who has been able to get the best of it in terms of the early doors. But look now, Khali Atkins has bolted. He's just set the fastest 2nd sector of anybody in the race, and he's just started to open up a little bit of daylight between himself and Tyler Mcintyre. This is all on Lanz now to try and work with Mcintyre to move forward. A little bit of a trip over the curves there though for Khali Atkins. That's going to unsettle the kart somewhat. But Lanz had an even bigger problem through that chicane as well. So the 3 drivers there just trying to work their way forward, but a very tricky situation for our contenders.
And I'm just looking at the timing screens here. Down in position number 23, it may seem insignificant, but Alejandro Payan made up 12 positions from where he started in the 7 laps so far in this race. John Nuttall as well has made up 10. He's currently sitting in position number 17 as the leaders all seem to be spreading themselves out now. A gap of 3/10 between Atkins and Mcintyre, and a gap of a further 4/10 to Fabian Lanz in position number 3 as we look at Stapleton battling away with that looks to be Quinn in front in the 3:14. No, it isn't. It's Gianluca Werthmann, excuse me, as we go back to the leaders now. That is going to be a battle that we are going to have to think about emerging as we look into turn 10 there from the commentary box. A couple of moves further down the field, but still looking at that is Adriannssens and Quinn. That is Quinn, who has done a fantastic job so far this weekend. He had a very unfortunate qualifying, but has shown real pace since then and is now hunting down the Belgian driver for position number 4 as they come through the turn 3 and 4 chicane, where we have seen so many casualties as far as the T4 carts are concerned. So many DNFs happening at that corner in the opening couple of laps. Roisin Sweeney on lap 1, as well as a whole host of other drivers throughout the last 2 days.
So Sweeney, Tinker and Fleming were out on the first lap. Hadius Gladkin has unfortunately retired from the race as well. All the other 32 drivers in this race are still going strong as we watch Adriannssens, Quinn and Werthmann, 4th, 5th and 6th. These 3 drivers still haven't given up on the designs for the victory. It's going to be significantly harder now that the top 3 have got clear, but there's still time. You never know what's still going to take a path through as they run their way through. It's going to be a difficult race to finish off with as the contenders still make hay while the sun shines. Here comes Werthmann trying to get through on the inside of Ian Quinn. Darragh Adriannssens holds on to that 4th position for the time being, but it's definitely looking pretty neat and tidy as they come through on the first hairpin. Adriannssens still in front of Quinn and Werthmann, but then in 7th position that is Evan Stapleton, who looked so strong in the initial phase of this race, but has ended up dropping to 7th position. It's so difficult to keep yourself at the front end of this field, as Atkins, Mcintyre and Lanz have proven already. They've already spaced out to 1.6 seconds between the 3 carts. Never easy. Mcintyre's going to have one final crack, I think, at Khali Atkins before this race comes to an end. We're on lap 10 out of 14. 9 laps have been completed, so we have got well, by the time they complete this lap, it will be the end of the 10th lap, of course. A great midfield battle going on as well. It's really starting to shapen up between the likes of Pratt, Perry, Spears, Lyder, Goodman, Byrne, Back and Gomez, along with Conor McPollin, Ravi O'Dripe and John Nuttall. So they're having some great racing all the way through that pack. But as they come through at the end of lap number 10, there are just 4 laps to go here in Valencia, and here comes the opportunity for Werthmann to get through on the inside. Werthmann's going to get into 4th position. Quinn's going to get the inside line as well. So Werthmann through to 4th, Quinn is through to 5th, Adriannssens down to 6th.
And just looking at the leaders starting to really space themselves out now. Gap of 7/10 between Atkins and Mcintyre at the front of the field. A further gap of 2 seconds to Fabian Lanz. Fabian saying that she felt the tyre pressures were a bit too high in the superheat, and that was a fairly simple adjustment to make, but otherwise she felt comfortable in the kart. It seems that the kart just doesn't have the pace. Whatever's going wrong, it just doesn't seem to be working for Fabian Lanz, and she is starting to fall back, but crucially she does have a margin of, let me take a look on the timing screens, a margin of 1.9 seconds to Gianluca Werthmann in 4th, and that is hopefully something that she is going to be able to maintain as we come in to the final couple of laps of this T4 senior final, watching the 3:14 of the aforementioned Gianluca Werthmann battling with Ian Quinn for P4. Now it's going to be very difficult for them to get onto the podium, barring a calamity for one of the top 3, which I don't suspect will happen because the gaps there are just absolutely stupendous between them. It'd be very, very difficult for them to tangle, but nevertheless, pride is on the line for Werthmann and Quinn, and they are going to be battling it out until the end, I would imagine.
We've had an off, I'm afraid. It's Gerardo Rosalia Freccia who has managed to recover, but is now right down at the back end of the field, I do believe. So a bit of a problem there for the young man from Puerto Rico. But there is your man up front. Tyler Mcintyre, 2nd position in this race. Still trying to get that 2nd gap down to Khali Atkins, but the esports champion Khali Atkins came into this race having won a ticket to the T4 Nations Cup by racing on the virtual version of the Tillotson T4 Cup. in fantastic fashion on his kart sim software, on his rig at home. He won that title, earned his ticket to come here, and he is leading the final with 2 laps to go. Question, can you go from esports to be a champion in racing? In about 90 seconds or so, Khali Atkins may be about to find out.
It certainly looks that way, Jake. A gap of 1.5 seconds now between him and the man in second, the American, Tyler Mcintyre. It is looking like another absolutely dominant display for the British Jamaican driver as he rounds turns 8 and 9, coming onto the mini back straight. Going down into turn 10, he has it all under control as we look at the battle for 4th place, still between Worthman Quinn and Adriannssens there. Coming down into turn 10 also. And no drama there just yet, but I would put money, if I was a gambling man, on it all kicking off in maybe a lap or two's time when we get into the final few moments of the race.
See, all 3 of these drivers are doing their best to catch up to Fabienne Lanz, and I think she may get a nasty shock on the final lap as these 3 drivers all get very close to her in the final. Oh, bit of a mistake there from Worthman though. Worthman is absolutely fuming with himself more than anything else as we go into the final lap. So Worthman is now going to lose a little bit of traction there and a little bit of ground. He begs desperately to Quinn and Adriannssens, come on, go with me. Let's see if we can catch Fabienne Lanz on the last lap. They're going to have to really work at it because Fabienne Lanz has got about 7/10 of a second on them, and that's a lot to make up in 1 lap. But they are going to do everything they can. Maybe people power is going to be enough to catch up to the South African on the last lap, and the tyres are really starting to fall away for Fabienne Lanz. The 3rd step of the podium could be coming the way of Jan-Luca Worthman, and he knows it. Fabienne Lanz is right there. Lanz knows that Worthman is going to try, and he'll go for it. He's through. Lanz cuts back through. Past both of them comes Ian Quinn. Ian Quinn cuts through to 3rd position. What a move from the man who started this weekend from the back of the grid, and now he's going to be on the rostrum. Amazing for Ian Quinn, but up in front, the gamer turned Tillotson T4 Superman comes through to victory. Khali Atkins wins for the United Kingdom.
And there's huge drama at the final chicane. There's multiple positions being handed, and
oh my goodness,
Worthman who comes through to take the final podium position at the 11th.
A spin after the flag.
Oh no.
A spin after the flag for Jan-Luca Worthman.
At the 11th hour, Worthman takes the final podium position and then proceeds to spin off. I'm not sure, is he going to stop the car?
He is going to stop the car.
He is.
What on earth happened there in the final bend? But Jan-Luca Worthman ended up in 3rd position after all of that, in front of Adriannssens, Quinn and Fabienne Lanz.
You have to say Fabienne Lanz very, very unlucky there, being demoted from 3rd to 6th at the final corner. I took a look there from the commentary box. It seemed to be 2 or 3 karts bouncing across the curves, maybe 2 or 3 wide, and then after the final chicane on the exit.
Could there be an investigation into that then at the end of this race?
I'm not entirely sure, but it was a very, very clumsy set of moves.
Well, Darragh Adriannssens there, who crossed the line in 4th place, going through very slowly. I don't think this race is quite over yet. Certainly in the top 2 it is. Khali Atkins and Tyler Mcintyre. Then Jan-Luca Worthman, Darragh Adriannssens, Ian Quinn and Fabienne Lanz, provisionally at least. Evan Stapleton, Calvin Pratt, Owen Ayrton Spears and Ben Lyder in the top 10 from Hunter Perry, Connor McPollin, Rashaan Goodman and Eddie Byrne. Then Jose Antonio Gomez, Joshua Bach from Rivo Tribe of Latvia and John Nuttall of the United Kingdom. 19th place, it goes the way of Rowan Conrady in front of Paolo